Hi, myself Badrinath.
Hi, I'm architect Prerna, and we are from a small studio in Chandigarh, Studio Oddity. The firm was founded in 2010, and initially we were a team of very few architects, and now we have expanded up to like about 30-40 people doing projects pan-India. We have explored the concept of space is more, and we have always tried to flirt with the boundaries of art and design.
The client actually bought that piece of land because of its natural destiny to have abundance of green in an urban setup. So, which is what actually where Corbusier was designed at 50 years ago, in a sense that he wanted to see a city with canopies of trees rather than a skyline. So primarily, like in Chandigarh, when you see the city, which is an urban grid plan, so what makes it interesting for this particular site neighborhood is that it actually has a belt of green that is running throughout the city. And this particular plot faces onto the green belt. So in principle, though it is an urban row of plots, which are like in most of Chandigarh and facing one of the main arterial road, it actually has a huge green belt in the front, which lot of trees. It actually has a lot of trees in front of the house. It has trees in the rear yard. There's a garden next to the house, and there's a park that you can view from this site from this direction. So predominantly it actually has a lot of nature around the particular plot. So along with the greenery, the interesting part is once we get into a certain height, we actually can see the Shivalik ranges on a very clear scale right in your face of it. At the same time, we have all the greenery around it. So the plot is actually 1,000 square yard plot, wherein it is supposed to have mandatory setbacks as per the bylaws on all four sides. As it was, this mandatory setbacks existed, we tried to work around in the sense that the pool was supposed to be, when we see the same plan in a section, in principally we only get 10 meters of height. So the question is, instead of dividing them into 3 standard floors, which might not give the kind of spaces we desire, so we tried to add a pool at one level to match the terrace onto the other side. We actually gave this height of the pool onto the lower side. So in reality, we actually have 2 floors on the front side and we have 3 floors on the rear side. So this gives the additional floor a height which is around 14 to 15 feet, which is a grander entrance to the house rather than like having a conventional 3-meter floors. As per the planning, in the front zone, we actually have the entire private zone. There's a central courtyard which separates the rear side of the house and on the front side of the house. The front side actually has a foyer and the great room, which has a taller height. And the rear side actually has the bedrooms, and the center is the lobby and the kitchen, which connects both the lobby and the great room. And when it comes to the first floor, which makes it primarily a living floor, primarily a sleeping floor, where each one actually has their own private outdoor living rooms. So which was not a balcony, it was a terrace which was much bigger than, well, if you can say that it was the size of a room. So for example, the daughter's room opens onto the central courtyard and onto a terrace which is part of a room. In the same way, the son's room also opens onto the rear yard and to the entire rear balcony. And in the front side, we actually create a typology. Rather than extending a terrace and a balcony, we created a skewed terrace balcony which was also an important element of design. Reason being, in the front, when we were actually trying to capture the nature from the surroundings, we found that if we could tilt the main bedroom at an angle of around 15 to 20 degrees, we actually see a lot of greenery in front of it, which was not readily available in the front. The top terrace predominantly has one long pool, a jacuzzi, a low height water garden, and then we have stepping stones that run from the water. The entrance to the top floor is primarily from the elevator and the staircase, which comes onto the top level, and it's covered in a glass mumty. It actually has a long courtyard and the terrace of the lower level daughter bedroom, and the front yard actually replicates the pool deck, which is on the rear side, in a different way to form of a deck for a garden. So there's natural grass patch, there's a deck which is symmetric on the other side, and the upper deck, which is primarily, we call it the Shivalik deck, which you get onto the top, where you can, on a clear day when you are lucky, you can actually see the entire range of Shivaliks right in your face. So the top terrace is like the main nucleus. So that's why we call the house as Terrace House, because the house was not designed from bottom to top, it actually came from top to down. Each of the spaces we're looking onto like different views. Like the master bedroom has the pool actually has an acrylic wall facing the master bedroom, which gives a very strong connect with the elements of nature to the person in the room. Once every morning, once you open it up, you actually could see right in your face, you could see the water flowing, which actually soothes out in a certain way. And like when you are in the son's room, it's a different feeling, that because you could see the entire canopies of the trees. And the daughter's room actually overlooks onto a couple of art installations, one on each side. One is the central courtyard, because the central courtyard has an art installation which is predominantly, because we didn't want to put elements of nature into it, because as it was an outward looking house, and inside they were also looking like a lot of art lovers, where we tried to blend an art installation which could be interesting at every level. So each of the interesting part inside the house is also how we thought of the staircases. The brief was to do it in the most poetic way rather than a conventional way. Then we tried to evolve, we worked with an artist to develop a twisted spiral staircase, and from the ground floor to first floor, and a few steps in a different way from the first floor to the mezzanine floor. And then there was a staircase that goes up with sort of bird installations on top of it. So there is no staircase one on top of each other, which lets you experience the entire spaces as you go, rather than putting yourself in a conventional box and going around it.
The material palette has been kept to support the visual invitation by each of the space. It creates microcosm spaces in various areas. Especially in the master bedroom, we have used glass bricks in the walk-in closet. So we have the natural blurred light from the outside to inside. We have a greenish impact of the canopies of trees outside, but we don't see visually outside. So in overall, the terrace house has been designed to redefine the nature, which I believe the observer itself has to be the cognizant part of the artwork, where he is naked to the nature. Through the transparent walls, nature sees you, you see them, and that's how you start living in a space generating memories.